Hello, everybody. Steve Clayton here, and welcome to day seven. Day seven, very fun from a prize perspective because we've got an Apple HomePod for you guys, $349 value, and this is a really fun thing to have. Not something I would have bought for myself, but actually somebody got it for me as a gift last year, and I love having it in the house. It's great just to be able to walk into the family room and just say, "Hey Siri, what's the weather outside?" That kind of stuff. So. Love this thing. It's fantastic. You're going to love it too. Hope you're the winner. But welcome to day seven. And today I want to talk about something that I have talked about in the past, but it's something that's really, really important, I think, for you guys. And it certainly is in line with this topic of, you know, what can we do to help you make sure that you just nail 2019, that you absolutely are successful in creating your own business? Because it solves, I think, one of the big problems that we also see when people start or don't start, and that's just how to focus, how to be a lone entrepreneur, how to survive that. It's very hard to do everything. Entrepreneurs want to do everything. We typically start as a single, individual by ourselves. If we're lucky, maybe we have one partner or even two, but most people, a huge percentage of them, just start on their own. So they're lone entrepreneurs, and that's great. I mean, it's exciting, but it brings with it some unique challenges. And one of the ways that I've seen and done myself to get over those challenges is to do something I call making sure that you're wearing the different hats. And it helps you solve this problem of, okay, great, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to start my own business, I have a business, I want to run it properly, wherever you are in the cycle. It's tough to know what the hell you ought to be doing every morning because you could do everything. You could do anything. And you typically gravitate towards the things that you like to do, which maybe aren't the most important things. So it's kind of hard to prioritize. It's hard to focus. It's hard to follow a plan. Sometimes people get overwhelmed. I mean, I've seen this a lot. They get what we call paralysis by analysis because there are so many things that they could do, that they spend all their time trying to figure out what it is that they could do or should do rather than doing something. And so you really do hit these problems when you're, again, before you start, while you're starting, 2 years later, when you're growing a successful business, you're always having to deal with these problems. And I think one of the best solutions is to just have a mindset change. And what I suggest is to think about the different hats that you need to wear as an entrepreneur and structure some process by which you can wear those hats and do the things that you're supposed to do while you're wearing those hats. So let me make it more clear. These are the hats, and you can make your own hats because there are some other roles and things that you could do. This is just the way that I do it. I think that everybody needs to have a CEO hat. We'll talk about each of these individually. A CEO, so Chief Executive Officer, somebody who is in charge of the whole entrepreneurial effort. Chief Financial Officer, someone who I lump legal in with that, someone who handles accounting and legal. Chief Operating Officer, so this is someone who is delivering essentially the services or products that your company or companies are going to sell. And very important, obviously, the Chief Marketing Officer, who figures out how to sell this stuff. How am I going to get traffic? How am I going to convert it? All that kind of good stuff. So your role as chief executive officer is really to give out the goals to the other hats. Even though you are the other hats, it's helpful to put your CEO hat on. And I'll give you a sample process at the end of this. But it's helpful to put your CEO hat on and say, look, here's what I want my chief operating officer to do. Here's what I want my chief marketing officer to do. And so when I put those hats on, when I'm ready to put those hats on, I have my marching orders. Okay. But the chief executive officer is responsible for giving out the goals, planning out the whole year, right? But then also taking that year-long plan and breaking it up into critical tasks, probably into about 30-day chunks, maybe weekly chunks. It's kind of like whatever works for you. We've had other presentations about time management. where we've looked at 6-month plans, 90-day plans, 30-day plans, and then breaking those down into weekly chunks, whatever it is. You have to find what works for you. Okay, we've talked a little bit about the different ways that you could do that. It doesn't really matter as long as you have a process, okay, whereby you understand what it is that you need to do today in order to reach your goal by the end of the year or by 6 months, whatever it is. Okay. So it's really, really important that the CEO own that process. Make sure that there is a plan. Make sure that the CEO is really, saying this is the priority for today or for the next 30 days or whatever it is. All right, for the different hats. Reviews the progress and suggests adjustments of the plans. Allocates resources, adjusts focus and resources and priorities for the other hats. Basically, just making sure that everybody, all the other hats, when you put them on, that those hats are marching to the same sheet of music so that you all reach your goals, within 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is. Okay. The other thing that the CEO can do is more strategically decide on what training to attend, what webinars to attend. The CEO should make the decision that you're going to attend our webinar, at the end of this. The wrap-up webinar. So, deciding on what's really important for training and other resources and other assistance. Okay. The CFO, creating financial reports and statements each month. Really, really important to do that, to get in the habit of doing that, and working with your accountant and your lawyer, interfacing with them and making sure that, your taxes are straightened out and your reporting is all set up. Banking relationships, making sure that you spend some time figuring out if you've got the best setup there, and doing forecasts for cash flow, and basically just taking care of the numbers. If you don't like to do that stuff yourself, which plenty of people don't, then what this hat mostly does is talk to your accountant and talk to your attorney and making sure that you understand what they're doing for you and making sure that they're doing the right things. Okay. The chief operating officer. Now here's, this is the hat that worries about the supply chain, worries about customer service. And by supply chain, I just mean delivering the products and services that you're selling. So if you are doing consulting for local businesses, then part of your supply chain is someone who is building citations for you. So, you've outsourced that. And so you're checking up on them. That's your supply chain. You're supplying that service to the customer. Maybe you're selling physical products. So you're having them manufactured or drop shipped or whatever it is, but there's a supply chain. Somewhere you have to manage to make sure that what you've sold gets delivered to the customer. Customer service, complaints, issues, problems, proactive customer service, giving feedback to the chief marketing officer. Hey, you're selling this when you're wearing this hat. Here's what I'm hearing from my customers. Okay. Working on online reviews and reputation management with the marketing officer, and really owning what we call KPIs, key performance indicators, just fancy words for metrics or measurements. These all mean the same thing essentially. But what are we going to track to make sure that we're doing a good job of delivering the right levels of service and the right quality of products? That's what the chief operating officer's job is. The chief marketing officer, well, very, very important, obviously. Overall marketing plans. How are we going to sell these products and services? So creating the marketing plans, executing the marketing plans for each and every service and product that you're going to do, sales forecasts, and that, as you develop a bigger and bigger company, that has to go over to the COO hat, because the COO needs to understand, are we going to sell 50 of these widgets or 1 million of them? Are we going to have 100 clients that we're doing consulting for, or 10,000? Because the COO has to manage that supply chain, right? The marketing KPIs, again, these are just key performance indicators, metrics, measurements, whatever you want to call them, all mean the same thing. But how much are we spending on advertising? What are our conversion rates? What are our return on investment? All that sort of stuff. And then the conversion vehicles themselves, the websites, how are they working? The landing pages. Are we making outbound phone calls? Are we following up on leads that we get? Are we generating leads? All of those things and all the traffic that goes to all those conversion vehicles, right? Critical for a chief marketing officer to focus on. Reputation management. Do you have online reviews that you're dealing with for your company or companies? These are all under the purview of, when you put your chief marketing officer hat on, okay? So when I say the strategy and wearing the different hats, what do I mean? Well, I mean you physically think about the fact that, hey, right now I've got my chief marketing officer hat on. So I'm not going to worry about the long-term plan. I'm not going to worry about accounting. I'm not going to worry about my supply chain. I'm not going to worry about any of those things. I'm only going to worry about these things right here. These are the things that I'm going to focus on. These are the things that I'm going to work on. Now, you could say take a half a day and be the CEO, a half a day to be the CMO. This is a good sample. Frankly, each day needs some, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, depends on your business, chief operating officer time, just to run the business, making sure that everything is operating smoothly, making sure you're delivering products and services, making sure there aren't any urgent complaints or customer service issues. So you need to run the business, right? So you got to put that COO hat on for a little bit of time each day, just to run the biz. But I would suggest that Monday, you put that CEO hat on and you spend most of the day as the CEO. And because you plan out your week, you say, okay, I'm going to take a look at my long-term plan. I'm going to prioritize. I'm going to focus. I'm going to adjust my resources. And I'm going to plan out what the CMO is going to do on Tuesday, what the chief operating officer is going to do on Wednesday, and what the CMO is going to do on Thursday. Okay? And really just set the whole plan for the week. Now, marketing is critical, so let's do that on Tuesday. Let's spend the whole day making sure that we're nailing all the things we need to do from a marketing perspective. Wednesday, let's be the COO. Let's put our hat on for the whole day. And in addition to just running the business, which we have to do every day, we're going to work on really improving processes and efficiency, not just running the business, but being more proactive. Okay. Thursday, we should probably be the CMO again. Now, this will vary from business to business, but most businesses, most of the work, quote unquote, is the CMO and the COO, right? And certainly in the early days is your more chief marketing officer because you're trying to get customers, trying to get sales. And then on Friday, everybody's tired. Look, let's just be the CFO because there might not be a lot of work that we have to do there. It might just be, talking to the accountant, just checking to make sure that we're where we're at with banking and cash flow. And these might just be checks and balances most days. Won't take you long. And maybe be the CEO for the rest of the day and reflect and adjust. How did we do this week? Let's make some adjustments. Okay. So guys, hopefully this makes sense. This is the way that I think is the best way to survive being a lone entrepreneur and not get caught up in some of these problems, where it's hard to focus. You don't know what you exactly should be doing, paralysis by analysis, hard to prioritize, all of those things. Just think about how you should set up your work week, your work month, whatever it is. How can you set it up so that you can wear these hats and really think of yourself as having that CEO hat, that CFO hat, whatever it is, whichever hat you're wearing at the time, and acting like you are that person and nothing else. In our companies, the chief marketing officer is not the CEO, is not the CFO, is not the chief operating officer. They don't have to worry about that stuff. So they have a much more focused, narrow view of the things that they're supposed to be doing, and it makes it a lot easier to get over these problems. But when you're an entrepreneur, you have to do it all. So you've got to figure out your way of, sort of breaking that up into manageable chunks. And hopefully, the way that I do it and the way that I suggest others do it is something that you can use and tweak for your own. Okay. Would love to hear some comments. Please, we love the comments. It's really, really important to us. Would love to hear some comments about how you do it, how you think this might work for you, how you might modify it. That would be super valuable. Please also remember to sign up for the wrap-up webinar. It's very important. I keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it over and over and over and over again because this is something that's going to be critical. We really want you guys to, if you haven't started a business, we want 2019 to be your year, and it can be and it should be, and we will do it with you. Promise. And this webinar is going to help you do it without selling you anything at all. I promise. It's just going to try to help. Okay. And the other thing is, please, if you haven't given us your mobile phone number, you can register for the prizes again, even if you've already done so. Even if you've given us your email, do it again because you get another entry into the contest to win things like drones and HomePods and all that kind of good stuff. Okay. We still got a lot of stuff to give away, including the big grand prize of $5,000 that we'll announce on that wrap-up webinar. Yet another reason to be there. Okay. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed today, and I will see you in a couple days.